It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and great to be here with you as usual. As we do the countdown every week, it's day 139, 139 days since over 200 girls were abducted from Chibok in Borno State, and we still don't know their whereabouts. A lot of people have moved on, sadly. I don't know that I blame a lot of people who have, mostly because, the government's attitude towards everything has been very, very, very poor. We did get a lot of promises that the girls are going to be gotten back. We did hear that they knew where the girls were. We still don't know where they are. And unfortunately, as knowing how Nigeria and terrorism has been in the last couple of years, most things happen too quickly. So it's almost as if a lot of events have overtaken that and nobody seems to bother anymore. So we don't know how all of this is going to end up, but we're going to keep talking about it, and hopefully one day these girls will be brought back and reunited with their families, who are absolutely still distraught, and some of them, we hear, are even planning funerals for their daughters, as sad as that might be. Moving on now to what is probably still the most heated issue in the country, Ebola. The Ebola virus is still sadly with us, and it has taken a new dimension. As at last week when I was here, we did talk about the fact that we had just 2 cases left in Nigeria, and they were on the road to recovery, as we knew at the time. Well, this last week we heard that one of the those who were primary contacts with the Liberian Patrick Sawyer, an ECOWAS diplomat, did travel to Port Harcourt and has didn't disclose that he was a primary contact, got himself a private doctor to treat him, and eventually got the doctor infected, who now died. We've heard reports that about 200 people have been quarantined now, just to be sure. They're going to be watched to find out, if they're okay, because these people were contacts of both the doctor and the ECOWAS staff, as well as the hospital where the doctor worked. The doctor sadly passed on, and his wife, we hear, is in critical condition and is being watched to see whether she's also infected with the virus. So Lagos is no longer the singular state dealing with this problem. It's moved to the south, and hopefully the government of River State and the federal government get to contain things there, as the Lagos state government has done in Lagos. We'll be watching that in a week to come. Hopefully we get some sort of resolution and we don't have any more twists to this deadly virus in Nigeria. Moving on to some terrorism and politics, very interesting bits and pieces of news came out this past week about an Australian negotiator who had a lot to say about people's involvement with funding the Boko Haram sect. We heard the CBN was mentioned. We've heard about El-Rufai. We mentioned the former Chief of Army Staff, Ihejirika. We don't know how true all of this is, but he did grant an interview, and obviously a lot of people know that these people are funded. But we don't know how true these names that were thrown up are. Of course, the federal government, we hope, is going to take up all of this and investigate, because it's quite shocking that a terror group could be this brazen and could be so rich. We've seen clips of them online with armored tanks. How do they manage to afford these things? How do they even fuel them? How do they buy all of this ammo that they use? So it would be nice to hopefully get to the root of all of this and see if we can get some sort of closure, at least, to what has been ravaging Nigeria for so long now. But a bit of news from Lagos. Called boys in an area in Shomolu have gone on a deadly killing spree. It's not been in the national news, but it's something that's quite disturbing. Apparently, we hear it started from a telecommunications company who paid, there's something called a Owele, which they usually pay to communities to compensate them if they want to erect something in their neighborhood. And we heard something about 2 million naira being given to people in that area, and called boys started clashing, and we hear as much as 18 people may have been killed with the back and forth tussle for this money and all that come with it. We hope this security organizations are listening. We hope the Lagos State government takes some action and halts this before it gets any worse than it already has. And finally, to some sports news now. The NFF is in a mess as it is right now. We have a new president, allegedly, or we don't know if the Congress was even a right one. Chris Giwa was elected by some Congress that held over the past week. We hear the FIFA has given them a deadline of Tuesday to either unseat Giwa or Nigeria gets suspended. The former, depending on what side you are, all the current NFF presidents, Aminu Maigari, was picked up by the SSS for one day and returned the next day. And while he was away, the so-called elections held. So we don't know what the week ahead is going to hold for us. It's a very, very critical time. Nigeria has a Nations Cup qualifier to play on Saturday, on the 6th of September, and all of this needs to get out of the way for the boys to focus on the match ahead. We're going to take a very quick break now. When we come back to our Road to 2015 series, we'll continue.
What else? What else? Come on, come on, come on.
Welcome back. Now we're continuing our road to 2015 elections, and I have here with me Adedunmade Onibokun. He's a lawyer. We're talking about things that have unfolded over the past week. You're welcome.
Hi, Vika.
Thank you very much for being here today. We're going to start with Niger State now. A senatorial election was held there in Niger East, and that was yesterday. And I think as of this morning, we heard that the PDP candidate had about 89,000 votes. The APC candidate had about 84,000. But INEC has said the results are inconclusive. We hear there's going to be by-elections, I think, on the 6th, which is next Saturday, to conclude about 19 wards. Yeah. How does that play out for you?
Well, it's actually quite interesting, you know. The 2015 elections and the past Osun State elections and all the elections that will be coming up in this year, you know, the tie and the competition between the PDP and the APC, you know, is really, really tight. So, and the results have been quite interesting because you can't really predict, unlike before when you can be like, oh, bam, it's going to be PDP or it's going to be I know. So I think that's good for democracy as a whole because that shows that the people are really responsive to what these politicians dish out to them. So it's
a very interesting dynamic for me because I know that the governor of Niger State is a very, very serious Calcari member of the PDP. I mean, he flirted with the idea of crossing over to the APC at some point when the rebel governors, in quotes, did cross over. He was one of them, but he ended up not crossing over. So for a state that's wholly PDP, it's quite interesting that that's happening. And with all of this cross-carpeting that's happening now, you know.
Back and forth.
It's almost as if no state is definitely PDP or APC anymore.
Yeah, that was except Lagos, maybe.
Well, we don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 2015, but I guess that's it with the 2015, with the senatorial elections there. But I want to talk about INEC, because I mean, with these inconclusive things that have happened in here, 19 wards are going to have to recast their votes on the 6th. What does that tell you about INEC's readiness for 2015?
Well, I don't think it plays such a negative effect on their readiness because we all know that INEC is really, really trying. And they've been evolving over time. When you look at the elections we had 4 years ago, you look at the state elections that just happened in Osun, you know, recently, you see that, yes, INEC is upping its game, you know, and so I don't think it really means that, oh, they're not ready, or I just hope that in 2015, that they dot all their I's and cross all their T's and that, you know, they give us perfect elections, or close to perfect at least.
Yeah, we hope for that. Well, in the last week, a lot of newspapers seem to be reporting that there are now 4 definite candidates for president with the APC. The 4 names that came up were Abubakar Atiku, Muhammadu Buhari, Kwankwaso, and Saraki. So those 4 names have sort of, I mean, if you look at the way things have played out in the last couple of weeks, those seem to be the main candidates that would actually come out with the APC. What does that interest you in any way?
Well, yeah, especially concerning the names that are on the list. Yeah, you know, I don't believe that one leader is the best person to lead. I believe that a leader leads in support of people around him, people that support him, you know, people that follow him. So yeah, we need a leader who can rally support from the normal Nigerians, not just from his ministers or, you know, people that work for him directly. So yeah, with regard to the leadership qualities of these people that you've mentioned, well, Bukola Saraki has been the former governor, Senator Atiku Abubakar.
They've all been in executive positions
at one point or the other. I think in one way they're all great leaders, but I don't know if there will be enough competition.
Put yourself in PDP's shoes. Would you be scared if you saw these names?
Not really.
In any way. Really, why not?
Not really.
You don't think they can take this, any of them can take it away from PDP?
I think none of them can take it away from Jonathan. Not PDP, but Jonathan, yeah.
But that's talking about President Jonathan now. He's not even said he's going to run yet. But I mean, there seems to be campaigns everywhere. There's the transformation agenda for Nigerians or something, TAN, that has been doing all of these massive campaigns across geopolitical zones. They went the South-South geopolitical zone in the last week. You think he's definitely going to run?
Except if he wants to come out with a shocker someday and says, oh, I'm not running, which is going to be new to Nigerians. You know, we've not really known any past leader who just leaves the executive position like that without wanting to stay an extra term. So if he comes back, or if he comes now and says he's not running, it's going to be a big blow to the PDP. And I'm sure, like Asari Dokubo said, in no fit.
That's an amazing quote. In no fit. Still talking about President Jonathan now, and I mean, you said none of these people are a competition for him, or would necessarily match him.
Yeah.
So,
I
do you
believe,
think
yeah.
who do you think could actually possibly match him, or a combination of people,
Well-
if possible? Because just sorry to cut you short there. I know people keep mentioning the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu. Fashola's name also comes up a few times. Then there's governor of Imo State who says he might also still declare, Rochas
Yeah.
Okorocha. So I don't know what names you think might possibly sort of strike some fear in PDP.
Wow.
None still.
Okay. No, if ACN wants to stay with the older generation of people, I believe that there may be no person that the youth will rally around. But if you bring a younger person, I think that person will give Jonathan a run for his money, because the youth really, we are about 65, 70 million, and we really are interested in who gets to lead us. So if you bring someone young and fresh, I think it will give PDP a run for his money. Fashola would be a good one, but hey.
Good tip there for PDP. I hope you're listening. But finally now to Adamawa State. A lot of things are happening there. Atiku, of course, his name has been mentioned a few times because he's such a factor in the states. He was elected governor. He never became governor. His deputy took over. He's sort of a colossus, people think. But the dynamic is changing. There's still White Danjuma. There's a former governor, Nyako, and all of his... What do you think? How do you think that's going to shape up there with Ribadu also being in the picture?
Well, I read somewhere that Atiku Abubakar said he doesn't want to be governor.
Yeah.
So maybe...
But his hands are definitely going to be in the mix, for sure.
Yeah.
And he's going to want to prove a point that he can keep his state APC.
If he were you, what would you do?
Yeah.
You'd probably do the same thing too. So yeah, I believe, of course, that's his home state. So yes, he's going to play, and he plays, and he will continue to play a big role in the politics there. So yeah.
Do you think, just on the final note, do you think a lot of these political parties are leaving things too late? I'm talking of presidentially now. Do you think by now we should have candidates, or clear candidates?
Well, it would have been nice to have had clear candidates by now.
Yeah.
So we know where we're going at least. Yeah, but since we don't, I think we just have to wait and see what happens.
All right, thank you very much, Adedunmade. It's been nice talking to you.
been my
Hopefully
pleasure.
2015 is as clear, as clean as we all hope it is. Better than 2011, of course.
Hopefully,
Thanks
yeah.
for being here today.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
When we come back, we're going to be talking some more right here on Robbin Minds. Please stay with us.